The Latent controversy has been in news where a famous YouTuber, a famous podcaster said something on a show and it has the entire country up in flames. The key word which I found was obscenity, which piqued my curiosity. I went online and searched for what exactly the law has to say about this, and these are my findings. The Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita, section 296, is associated with obscene acts and songs, and this is what it says. Whoever, to the annoyance of others, does any obscene act in any public place, or B. sings, recites, or utters any obscene song, ballad, or words in or near any public place, shall be punished with imprisonment of either description for a term which may extend to 3 months, or with fine which may extend to 1000 rupees, or with both. So I was a bit curious. One, what is meant by the word obscene act? And second, what do you define as a public place? Well, before we go further, let's see whether any explanation is available. Well, section 296's explanation was something like this. There are two specific types of conducts when done in public place or vicinity. One is an obscene act, where it says if a person performs any act deemed obscene as defined by the law in a public place to the annoyance of others. And for obscene song or words, it says when a person sings, recites, or utters an obscene song, ballad, or words in or near a public place, causing annoyance to others. So, would we deem that particular thing to be an obscene act or to be the usage of an obscene song or words? To understand the applicability of a law, the purpose of the section is very important. So I found out that the purpose of section 296 was to preserve public decency. That is to prevent the public display of obscene behavior or offensive language that may disrupt social harmony or disturb the peace of others. Did it do any of these things? The other purpose was to protect individuals from public nuisance, that is to safeguard people, especially those who might be uncomfortable or offended from exposure to obscene acts or language in public settings. It was also to ensure respectful public spaces, that is to promote civil behavior and to discourage acts that might harm the moral fabric of society. Very interesting how you can interpret the act and see whether it is applicable to the current case or not. There was something else which I found out during my research, and that was section 67 in the Information Technology Act of 2000, which basically says whoever publishes or transmit or causes to be published or transmitted in the electronic form any material which is lascivious or appeals to the prurient interest, or if its effect is such as to tend to deprave and corrupt persons who are likely having regard to all relevant circumstances to read, see, or hear the matter contained or embodied in it, shall be punished on first conviction with, and then it goes on to talk about the punishment. So the section 67 of the Information Technology Act 2000 also seems to be relevant for this particular case. Well, but how do I apply any of these laws in the current case? A little bit of more research gave me a very interesting piece of information. There is something called the Hicklin's test, which used to be applied, and then Indian law is applying something called the community standard test. Let's see what these things are. The Hicklin's test says any publication can be weighed for obscenity based on a single section or part of the overall work which is taken out of the whole content. Right? So a single section or part of the overall work can be taken out of the whole content, which means while using Hicklin's test, the work is separated from the content. It only takes into consideration isolated or specific part. So if I apply the Hicklin's test, I don't need to see the context in which it has been done. as a standalone statement, was that content obscene? The isolation of that particular statement is more than necessary to suffice the Hicklin's test. But that is not what our law seems to be using, right? Our law uses something called the community standard test, where it says, according to this test, gestures or content are only obscene if the prevailing topic in total is in violation of the existing community standards. So the context in which that particular line was used does matter. But here the interesting question is, even if I take it in context, does it violate the existing community standards? So what exactly are the existing community standards? Who decides what exactly is something which is going to deprave the public morality? Well, all these are very interesting questions, and I'm sure the learned minds of the judiciary will be able to give us a definite answer in the outcome of this case. What is interesting is what is your opinion on this. Do let me know in the comments what you think is the applicability of the mentioned sections and the mentioned tests for this particular instance. Please be mindful of language. Please be nice, be respectful, and give a learned and well thought out opinion on this issue. So here's me signing off, leaving you with that interesting question. Was this a case of obscenity, and will they finally be held liable for their actions or not?